Part 86. Planting trees for all, 3 consecutive SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Immortal. Chapter 851. Chapter 851 can't be obtained. If you say, is there any monster in the Grey Realm who is most familiar with Lu Shu? That must be Guan Yu standing in front and holding the Qinglongyanyu knife. After all, the monster who has never seen Lu Shu naturally does not need to say much. Of course he doesn't know Lu Shu, and he hasn't even seen his skills, so where does familiarity start? But the monsters who have seen Lu Shu are basically dead. So, Guan Yu is naturally the monster of the entire Grey World, who knows Lu Shu the most. Note that the monsters here do not include guild members of the Akatsuki organization. If you are precise, Xiao Chang'an, Bai Yu and the others should belong to the Divine Tree World, not the Grey Realm. His gaze returned to Guan Yu's body. He was carrying the Qinglongyanyu knife on his back, looking at Lu Shu, as if he didn't expect the other party to really appear in this place, and couldn't help but sigh. I never thought that I would meet you in this place. Lu Shu's mind moved slightly. He noticed that there was something in Guan Yu's words. This place? The nature of this is the island of the sacred tree. But the other party specifically used a more solemn tone. In particular, the term this place is used to emphasize the particularity. It shows that in Guan Yu's eyes, the Divine Tree Island is a very unusual place, and he didn't expect to meet Lu Shu here. You know this place? Lu Shu seized the opportunity and immediately asked. Apparently. With Guan Yu's level, it is likely that he knows the relationship between the Grey Realm and the Divine Tree World. If you can know more information, you will definitely be able to improve your future actions and understanding of the Grey Realm by more than one level. Lu Shu naturally will not let go of such an excellent opportunity. Guan Yu regained his composure, and then looked at Lu Shudeo. I know you're curious about all this. After all, for thousands of years, all traditions have been like this, passed on from generation to generation. But I'm sorry, in this form, I can't tell you more. If you are really the chosen one, then one day in the future, the truth of this world will definitely open up to you. But it's necessarily the result of your own exploration, not any one person. Hearing what Guan Yu said, Lu Shu fell silent for a moment. In fact, Lu Shu was not surprised by this result. On the contrary, it is very reasonable. The current Guan Yu is obviously not the same character as the Guan Yu 1,000 years ago. It is clear that he has incarnated as a part of the underworld. Since it has become a part, it is natural that it will be bound by something. And thousands of years ago, it has been shown that the current Guan Yu actually still retains the memory of 1,000 years ago. What does that mean generation after generation? Could it be? Lu Shu suddenly realized something. It is very likely that Guan Yu, Emperor of the Ages, and Cao are all Divine Tree Masters of the previous generation. Or, maybe it's not a Divine Tree Master, but a special era. Once, like all of them, was a time traveler from the Blue Star. But alas! When this era has fallen, all the heroes who have been retained by the previous generation have been annihilated in the history of the Grey World. No one knows what the hell is going on. And Guan Yu, although he remembers everything, is bound by the rules of the underworld. Unable to reveal the truth to everyone. Lu Shu felt a great pity in his heart. Obviously the answer was right in front of him, but he couldn't get it. Planting trees for all, 3 consecutive SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Immortal. Chapter 852. Chapter 852 is inevitable. Thinking of this, Lu Shu also had to feel a secret pity. He could see that Guan Yu actually wanted to tell him this information. However, forced with certain reasons, so cannot be said. This can be said to be the biggest regret of this Grey World invasion. Don't be so melancholy. If you really have that qualification, then these things will be known sooner or later. It is not necessarily a good thing to know something that is not appropriate at an inappropriate time. 4450. Guan Yu seemed to see what Lu Shu was thinking, and said lightly, "You're right." Lu Shu nodded and agreed with the other party's statement. This may seem like a comfort, but it is also the truth. In such a mysterious and complex place as the Grey Realm, no one knows what the upper limit is. In the absence of corresponding strength, knowing too much can be detrimental to yourself. After all, intelligence is also part of strength. And the problems that a person will encounter are often equal to their own strength. The stronger it is, the more difficult the problems will be. If you know too much, then you will also cause a lot of trouble. Therefore, in the absence of sufficient strength, even if it is infinitely deduced such an anti-heaven skill, it is impossible to obtain relevant information. Then we should be able to avoid this battle. Lu Shu paused, and then spoke. But in fact, I already regarded Guan Yu as my own person in my heart. Since the other party has no malicious intent, and it may be a person left over from the previous era. So, with normal logical thinking, it is naturally better to keep it as a friend. Even if the other party belongs to the underworld. But being able to come to my own island is also a kind of fate. No. However, Guan Yu shook his head and said, "I should have died a long time ago, and the reason why I am still here is just to pave the way for the next era. You should kill me, take what is on me, and become a part of the strength. Don't worry, I'm ready to come to my senses when I become all this. You should have enough strength now. And I came here on my own initiative. It's to accomplish this plan. Even if you don't kill me here, one day, you will definitely set foot in the underworld, and the result will be the same. It's better to let this day come sooner." Guan Yu said lightly. "Wait. What do you mean by that?" Lu Shu fell into silence a little. He immediately sensed that there was an extremely large amount of information in Guan Yu's words. Choose to come here yourself. Could it be that Guan Yu actually found the passage of the Grey Realm invasion by himself, so he came to this island? Moreover, what is the plan he is talking about? Is it something left over from the previous era? Paving the way for the next era. In other words, the reason why Guan Yu appeared in the underworld and left himself until 4.6 is actually for a plan. But what exactly is this plan? The mystery of all this completely aroused Lu Shu's curiosity. "I'm sorry, I can't tell you, but one thing is for sure, the key will appear in your hand, just follow your own will." After that, Guan Yu had already raised his sword, and his body exuded an aura almost like a martial god. This battle is inevitable. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Planting trees for all, 3 consecutive SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Immortal. Chapter 853. Chapter 853, Guan Yu. Lu Shu sighed slightly. In fact, he still didn't want to participate in this battle in his heart. In any case, Guan Yu is one of the few existences in the Grey Realm who can perceive almost the same level. And it is also related to the previous era. There are too many questions he wants to know. But there is no way, the current Guan Yu belongs to the underworld, and all the secrets belong to the underworld. Unless one day, Lu Shu can open up the entire underworld, but at that time, it is estimated that Guan Yu will not be needed. A key. What could it be? Let's fight. The dull voice of words echoed in the sky above the 18 islands of the sacred tree. Guan Yu held the Qinglongyanyu knife. Up and down his body, he exuded an extremely fierce will to fight. He knew that this battle might be his last. So, you have to do your best to live up to everything you have. Isn't it just to wait for this day to do so much? So, Guan Yu burst out with the strongest fighting will in his life, directly pushing his strength to the peak. the entire island of the sacred tree, everything began to shake. It seems to perceive this power, which is extremely terrifying. Meanwhile, the little ones on the divine tree island have shifted their attention here. Stared at Guan Yu's figure. There is a look of vigilance in the small eyes. They all felt that this was the most formidable enemy the sacred tree island had ever faced. Even if the divine beast has evolved, it can't bring much help to Lu Shu. This is a god-level battle in the true sense of the word. It is also the gray realm that straddles the dialogue between the two eras. Boom. Boom. This battle was fought almost darkly. The whole sky is about to collapse. Lu Shu unleashed the strongest attack of his life. All the exercises are running wildly, and all kinds of laws and meanings are basically beginning to merge. That's an attack that God will change color when he sees it. Especially the seed of the Lu Shu world tree, after his level became higher and higher, all the world origins were penetrated through it, and the damage was extremely high, and it directly almost reached the effect of an explosion. But Guan Yu is also not to be outdone. Behind him, it seems that a demon god phantom has been condensed, descending here, killing the god and reincarnating. When you raise your hand, it seems that all the heavens and the universe are about to be shattered. Heaven and earth change color, and everything is silent. When Guan Yu slashed out, as if it contained the power of 1,000 June, the earth here began to break layer by layer. In the void, cracks cracked open, and endless torrential storms began to sweep high into the sky. Lu Shu's whole body at this time suddenly burst into a burst of brilliant golden light. He mobilized all the divine power to condense an impregnable great wall. The power of all 010 beings seems to be condensed in his body, giving him endless power. At that moment, the divine lock began to shroud towards Guan Yu's body like thousands of hairs. Woohoo! Woohoo! Although the divine lock can't play a too powerful role against Guan Yu. But Lu Shu didn't want to use this method to deal with Guan Yu at all. He simply used the God's lock as a weapon. Condense all the rhymes. Directly bombard the other party with the strongest avenue. It's as if you want to show your strength to the other party. But at this moment, Guan Yu's eyes suddenly turned red. The breath became terrifying. Planting trees for all, 3 consecutive SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Immortal. Chapter 854. Chapter 854, Martial God Mode. This moment. An eye-catching prompt instantly appeared in front of Lu Shu. The bright red font seems to indicate that a great test is coming. Guan Yu has entered the martial God mode. All values are multiplied tenfold at once. Unlock Valkyrie Turbulence. Blessed by divine attributes. At this moment, the aura that Guan Yu showed to Lu Shu was completely different. Completely at the top of its game. Now, Lu Shu realized that Guan Yu had never released his true strength. He also has divinity. This is an unrelated attribute in the underworld. You must know that almost all the monsters in the underworld are restrained by divinity, but Guan Yu is a part of the underworld. But to be able to use divinity? It is conceivable that this should be the ability he possessed during his lifetime. It's just a rule limited to the underworld, so it can't be released. But at this moment, Guan Yu directly used his strongest strength, which also meant that no matter what the result was. After the battle, Guan Yu's story came to an end. This is your will. Lu Shu muttered to himself. Only if the opponent recognizes himself enough. Will leave no stone unturned, and strike with all your might? So. There should be an adequate response. At that moment, Lu Shu also directly burst out with his strongest strength. Sacrifice the Zuxian sword. The moment when the Zuxian sword was held in Lu Shu's hand. Behind him, there is a shadow of Kendo hovering. It was as if that sword could pierce the sky. Before, when the Zuxian sword was obtained as a god-level reward, the strongest power had not been unlocked. But by now, the Zuxian sword has become the most powerful weapon in Lu Shu's hands. A sword that can kill the gods. This is the true strength of the Zuxian sword. When Lu Shu's strength reached the realm of gods, this sword can also burst out with the most powerful power. Guan Yu's pupils reflected the boundless sword light. For the first time, he felt such transcendent power. However, Guan Yu did not show any expression of fear. When Valkyrie mode is enabled, the stronger the opponent's strength, the more he can burst out with 1000% of his strength. The two collide, and the sky cracks. The heavenly machine array was running wildly, and the shelter mechanism of the entire Divine Tree Island was completely stimulated. The cuties on the island of the Divine Tree immediately hid behind the sacred tree and released their skills together to resist the aftermath. At this moment, the Divine Tree suddenly erupted with brilliant brilliance, and a shield enveloped all directions, and all the aftermath of the attack on the shield was perfectly avoided. Finally, the battle on the field fell into peace. Lu Shu and Guan Yu each stood on one side and confronted each other. It's hard to believe that this battle has no result. But Guan Yu's figure has already begun to gradually dissipate. After he turned on the mode of the advent of the martial god, he already knew that, good Money Zhao, would usher in such an ending himself. At this moment, Guan Yu looked at the Zuxian sword in Lu Shu's hand and showed a meaningful smile. I didn't expect it to be this sword, and I met here again. In the last era, all people fought against the gods as mortals, but they never mastered the power of the gods. Perhaps, all of this will change in this era. After saying the last few words, Guan Yu's figure dissipated. Planting trees for all, 3 consecutive SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Immortal. Chapter 855. Chapter 855 150 billion. It's over. This invasion of the Grey Realm after 3 days has finally come to an end. But Lu Shu's heart did not have a feeling of joy. A prompt popped up in front of him. You killed the martial god Guan Yu and got 10 billion points. The overall results of this Grey invasion are being announced for you. Your score this time is 15 billion. Leaderboard rewards and lists will be distributed after the island war ends. This 1 point is absolutely unimaginable. Even if it is the next few Grey Realm invasions, I am afraid that no one can exceed such a terrifying number of 433. However, Lu Shu's attention was not on the points at all. On the contrary, I feel a little dignified. This time, the 3-day invasion of the Grey Realm seemed to be longer than ever. Moreover, Lu Shu knew that the god level did not mean anything. Since Guan Yu has reached the level of a god, it means that in the last era, there were definitely many people who could reach Lu Shu's current strength. But it still didn't stop that era from being ended and shattered. What kind of powerful force is there to change the rules of all this? God's domain? Temple? The kingdom of God? The underworld? Still is. Are there other different existences? All in all, there are still many mysteries in the Grey Realm that have not been solved, and before these questions are answered, Lu Shu can only give up thinking first. The amount of information contained in what Guan Yu said is too huge. Failed to grasp the power of divinity in the last era? But this era has. Lu Shu can be sure that the divine power that Guan Yu said is absolutely impossible to be as simple as ordinary divinity. Because, the martial god he cast was already more powerful than Luo Shui. So, the only possibility left is the Zuxian sword in his hand. But why is this a divine power? Lu Shu couldn't help but have a trace of doubt in his heart. The power of the god, Bij, if you refer to the sword of the immortals. Then this is the divine tree master getting a god-level reward. So, does it have anything to do with the world of the divine tree? In Lu Shu's eyes, the divine tree world was completely different from the Grey Realm. Own the island, shelter the quartet. The sacred tree is also capable of producing corresponding fruits, which can be used to fight against the calamities brought by the Grey Realm. In a nutshell, the Divine Tree World is like an umbrella for everyone, not only providing a safe place for the Divine Tree Master, but also giving them the strength to grow. Even the ranking of the Grey Realm invasion, as well as the God-level rewards, should be related to the Divine Tree World. Since this is the case, Lushu can easily oppose the Grey Realm and the Divine Tree World. That is to say, the players of the Divine Tree World are actually a screening mechanism, and the goal is to find people who can fight against the rules of the Grey Realm. Become a Divine Tree Master, plant a Divine Tree, gain great power, and explore. As the level of the Divine Tree gets higher and higher, the power of the Divine Nature will even be born in the future, so that the Divine Tree Master will have divine power. So, the Divine Tree should want to deal with the Grey Realm. But on the other hand, every once in a while the Grey Realm invades. It also shows that the Divine Tree World is the enemy of the Grey Realm. One wants to fight back, the other wants to attack. But when the Grey Realm invasion ended, it was the Divine Tree World that took the initiative and was able to explore the Grey Realm. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Planting trees for all, 3 consecutive SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Immortal. Chapter 856. Chapter 856 is not invincible. After thinking about it like this, it seems that the relationship between the Grey Realm and the Divine Tree World has become quite obvious. Some settings were also completely clarified by Lushu's thinking. Understand the rules, laws of rankings, monster killing upgrades, and planting divine trees. The following conjectures were made. When the Grey Realm invasion came, it can be said that the Grey Realm side occupied the attacking side, and the Divine Tree World was the defending side. But wait until the invasion is over. On the contrary, the Divine Tree World has become the active party, and it can explore the Grey Realm. Therefore, the relationship between the two seems to be yin and yang of each other, eliminating the other's strengths and transforming each other. When the Grey Realm becomes stronger, the Divine Tree World will be encroached upon, but when the Divine Tree World becomes stronger, it means that the things in the Grey Realm will be swallowed by the Divine Tree World. But if it's such a simple relationship, the rules of the game are very simple. The bottom line is to defend your own Divine Tree Island. In this way, no matter what kind of thing appears in the Grey Realm, the Divine Tree World has a bottom line for defense. But if it's that simple, why did the last era fall again? All the problems can be resolved with only active defense, so there is no need for the Divine Tree Master to go to the Grey Realm to attack again. With this in mind, Lushu's brows furrowed slightly. It's definitely not that simple. If it's just a tower defense type tower defense game, the turtle family can have everything, then the last era will definitely not perish so easily. You must know that a god-level powerhouse like Guan Yu was already born in that era. Not to mention anyone else. Now that Lushu knows the information, Guan Yu is definitely not the strongest character in the last era. And the Emperor of the Ages. The character who even the God domain is afraid of is the real powerhouse of the Grey Realm. But even the first Emperor of the Ages failed to change the outcome of that era. His strength and Guan Yu have fought back and forth, and the last move did not distinguish the winner or loser. If it weren't for the fact that the Divine Tree Island had the Heavenly Machine Array, the protection of the Divine Tree, and various defense mechanisms, which were blessed on his body together, outside the Grey Realm, he might still be injured if he resisted Guan Yu's move. In this case, it was just a tie. It can well be imagined. Although the current Lushu is already at the top of the apex for all the Divine Tree Masters of this era. But in the mysterious and unknown last era, Lushu had only developed to a relatively high level of strength, and he was not at the top at all. Or rather, it has reached a relatively high level at the time of the demise of the last era. Lushu continued to think about what the real opponent of the Divine Tree World was. Is it the divine domain and the kingdom of God? After all, they are worried about the appearance of the chosen one, and it should pose a threat to them. So, is it the people from the other side of the divine domain who have destroyed this era? But from the perspective of the setting, if the divine domain really has this ability, then it will not just send Luo Shui to the nether, but dispatch the strongest force to destroy all the divine tree masters in the first place. If any true god comes to the nether, he will inevitably be weakened by his divine power, his divinity cannot be used, he will be demoted to a first-order true god, and he will be killed by a divine tree master like me. It can be seen that in fact, God is in the grey world, and he is not an invincible pill. Planting trees for all, 3 consecutive SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Immortal. Chapter 857. Chapter 857 must be in the top 10. Wu. In this way, Lu Shu also had to take a deep breath. The enemy is much stronger than you think. Even a strong opponent like Guan Yu could not overcome the problems encountered in the previous era. So, Lu Shu also began to face up to the real enemy of the divine tree world. But now, his strength still needs to become stronger. In the divine domain, 107 has envoys sent by the kingdom of God and the heavenly palace. In the grey world, there are also places left by the first emperor of the ages. The coordinates are 1000, 1000. Wait. Why did the first emperor of the ages choose this coordinate point as his base? A similar question suddenly arose in Lu Shu's mind. Since the first emperor of the ages is the strongest person in the grey realm, he can even pose a great threat to both the kingdom of God and the heavenly palace. So, his choice of the location of the palace in Dingdu will naturally not be simple. It is very likely that the place where the first emperor of the ages was stationed was a very important boundary of the grey realm. Gotta go there. Lu Shu said secretly in his heart. According to the rules of the grey realm, the larger the coordinates, the higher the corresponding risk factor. To the triple digits. Especially the coordinates other than 500, you can already encounter a god-level inheritance location. For example, the ruins of the law god explored by Xiao Chang'an and others have reached the level of a god. Well, if the coordinates exceed 1000, no one knows what will be there. Can't you get it? It should be an extremely powerful existence. But even if there is a big danger, Lu Shu has to find out. It's a matter of life and death for all divine tree masters, including himself. In order to solve the mystery of the fall of the last era, and the problems that the divine tree master needs to face in this era. These are things that cannot be bypassed. Akatsuki organizes guilds. The core members of the group are all on the guild's public chat board, discussing the invasion of the Grey Realm. Wow, this time it's really thrilling, the strength of these monsters is so strong, if it weren't for the gift given to us by the president, we wouldn't be able to deal with these monsters. Prodigal Sword Boss, have you been rewarded by the president again? Alas, it's all for life. The Prodigal Sword Bosses seem to have the exploration mission of the president, so they can become so powerful. I really want to complete these tasks, but I don't have enough strength, and it doesn't seem like there are any tasks that are particularly suitable for me. You guy is just lazy. Eat the welfare food sent by the president every day, even if the pig eats it, you can become Marshal Tianpeng, but you can't, it means that you are lazy. Woo woo, stop scolding, can't I go and take over the president's task? I don't know what level the Prodigal Sword Bosses have reached this time, and what level can they hit in the ranking of this grey world invasion. It's definitely in the top 10. Yes, they went to the mission location given by the president. This is the land of gods and ghosts 500 miles away from the grey world coordinates, and it is not something that ordinary people dare to go to. 5.3. It's hard to imagine how powerful the monster pulled out in such a place would be. The bigwigs all say that it is difficult to fight, that is, it can really be beaten. The members of the Xiao organization began to discuss. They are all speculating about what level the strength of the core members will reach. The last time the Grey Realm invaded, I was really shocked to see that the members of the Xiao organization were ranked so high. Planting trees for all, 3 consecutive SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Immortal. Chapter 858. Chapter 858. In this island battle, the number of people you matched, 1. This also allows the members of the Xiao organization to determine the reward for completing the task, which must be very good. Otherwise, how could the bigwigs of the core members such as the Prodigal Sword make such rapid progress and go directly to the top 10? Of course. Everyone in the room was shocked too. What kind of reward did the guild leader give to make the members of the guild improve so fast? It's more than anyone could have imagined. But before the Grey Realm invasion is announced. And one more important thing. That's the battle for the island of the 18 sacred trees. All tree divisions will begin to expand the island, and then be matched with other tree divisions for tower defense siege battles. I wonder what new members will come in at that time. Yes, every time the president will forcibly admit some new members into the Xiao organization. Speaking of which, we were also directly called in at the beginning, and we thought we were unlucky, but we didn't expect to meet such good guild benefits here. For me, an old salted fish, I can enjoy the guild benefits presented by the president every day, and the food is simply a must, so delicious. You foodie, what else can you do besides eating? That's when, in front of everyone in the Divine Tree world, a prompt popped up. Warning, the 7-day battle for the Sacred Tree Island is about to begin. Please prepare all the Divine Tree Masters to face the island war. You can choose the side that takes the initiative to attack or defend. When this prompt appears, Lu Shu's mind gradually withdrew from his thoughts. Preparations for island warfare began. But this time, he didn't plan to include too many people in the Xiao organization. It will only collect potential stocks that are relatively strong and have the opportunity to become core members. Otherwise, if everyone is brought in, there will be too many salted fish. The meals needed for the organization's welfare will also be improved. Now there are some salted fish in the guild, but in fact, it is not that they are really salted fish, but because Lu Shu's current level is too high, they can't keep up. So, nor can I really contribute to the organization. In addition to eating, it is sleeping. You can't get a bunch of crap people here, right? Of course, Lu Shu didn't need to take them away. After all, the guild still had some bottoms, responsible for shouting 6666 on the screen and introducing the special features of the guild to newcomers. This is also the meaning of the appearance of the bottom. After Xiao Chang'an and the others became core members, they all needed strategy copies, so naturally they didn't have so much time to chat with others. In this way, the role of the bottom and salted fish is also reflected. That's when the boundary of Lu Shu's island began to expand rapidly into the distance, 777. After defeating so many monsters, his Divine Tree Island instantly expanded by more than 10 times its original size, and the area became even more vast. But at this moment, a huge collision sound, suddenly remembered, thundered. The borders of the two islands collide. At this moment, a prompt popped up in front of Lu Shu. In this island battle, the number of people you matched, 1. Lu Shu's gaze moved slightly. Is there only one Divine Tree Master? That's a bit unscientific. You know, Lu Shu's current island boundary has expanded so much, how could he only match one Divine Tree Master? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Planting trees for all, 3 consecutive SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Immortal. Chapter 859. Chapter 859. Under one man, above 10,000 people. That's not right. It's a bit unscientific. Lu Shu felt a little strange in his heart. In this case, if only one person can be matched, there may be only one possibility. The opponent in the battle for the island of the sacred tree this time is very strong. The area of the other party's island has reached a level similar to its own, which is why this situation occurs. I don't know who the divine tree master I met will be, Lu Shu said secretly in his heart. Meanwhile, the other end of the island. A veiled woman, frowning slightly, looked at her panel, her eyes full of curiosity. It's strange, why is there only one person matched this time? Do you mean? That's right, the unlucky guy who matched Lu Shu at this moment is actually listening to the wind in the twilight rain. It can be said that it is Lu Shu's old friend. I have dealt with Lu Shu a long time ago. But since Twilight Rain has become the president of Twilight Pavilion, and Lu Shu has also become the number one on the list, the communication between the two has become less and less. Because Twilight still wants to compete for the first place. Naturally, I won't have much communication with Lu Shu. After all, it's the goal of surpassing each other. If you talk a lot, become friends, and surpass each other on the list when the time comes, won't it be a little embarrassing to chat again? However, what made Twilight Rain feel even more speechless was, this guy has repeatedly crushed himself with several times the points. She, the dignified pavilion master of the Dusk Rain Pavilion, has been reduced to someone else's background board. Twilight Rain listens to the wind, and in this case, it is even more impossible to take the initiative to chat with Lu Shu. Every genius has arrogance in his heart, especially Twilight Rain, who has awakened his SSS-level talent, and of course thinks that he is the first in his heart. But he was hit so many times by Lu Shu. Her arrogance has also disappeared completely. However, during this period, Twilight listening to the wind felt that his strength had improved a lot, and he had reached the level of a demigod. It's just a battle for the island of the sacred tree. Twilight listens to the wind. Of course, I feel confident in this. Even if you're only matched with one person. As the pavilion master of the Twilight Rain Pavilion, she naturally knew that if there was only one person in the matching battle on the Divine Tree Island, it would most likely mean that the opponent's strength was not much different from her own. In this case, the borders of the islands are about the same distance, so they will not be interfered with by other islands, but will be directly attached to the other island. Marginal. Then, the battle for the island was born. Since you can match me as a person, you can also be a big guy on the list, right? Twilight's eyes moved darkly. But she has a lot of information about herself. Although he has been hit by Lu Shu many times, no matter what, Twilight Rain is the second in 10,000 years. The second oldest in the rankings for 10,000 years, King Li. The types that belong to one person and above 10,000 people. Unless it is matched with the legendary Tree Man, with the confidence of Twilight Rain in his own strength, no one is naturally afraid. Even a god may not be able to break through her island. Tree Man. Well, that's not clear yet. However, the divine tree world is so vast, it can't be so coincidental that it will be lined up with the tree, right? That's what Twilight Rain's heart thinks. Planting trees for all, 3 consecutive SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Immortal. Chapter 860. Chapter 860 was bluffed for a while. That's when Twilight Rain's heart moved slightly, and she suddenly smiled, and said in her heart, "That's right, I can directly divinate what the winning rate of this Divine Tree Island offensive and defensive battle is. As long as it's something related to me, it must be able to get the answer. Even if this matter involves a high heavenly opportunity, as long as it is related to oneself, then the measured person is definitely enough. I'm going to see how much this opponent can win against me first." Twilight listened to the wind and took a deep breath, and quasi-217 was ready to calculate. This time, she didn't need to worry about vomiting blood again. Because, even if the other party is a god, as long as it has a relationship with himself, especially a one-on-one island battle, it means that the person has reached the same level. In the same event. At this time, as long as it is not to calculate the secrets of the other party, but the connection between the two, there is a high probability that you can get accurate calculation results. From an immeasurable state to a measurable state. Let's get started. Twilight listened to the wind and groaned, "Biff." Subsequently, her pupils burst into a burst of brilliant white light. It is as if from the countless possibilities of the universe, the only answer can be glimpsed. At this moment, a string of numbers appeared in Twilight's eyes. Represents the probability that she will defeat the other party. 0.0000001%. How is that possible? The odds are lower than the lottery, right? When Twilight Rain saw this string of numbers, her brain was immediately clouded. The first reaction was, this is fake, right? In the entire Divine Tree world, he is already one of the people who stand at the top. She's the legendary second in 10,000 years. How can you encounter an opponent who almost has no chance of winning during the Island War? Twilight shook her head when she heard the wind. She definitely didn't believe this result. Just kidding. As the second in 10,000 years, even if the tree man appears here, even if he can't defeat the opponent's island, it's still no problem to prevent it, right? This result can't help but make Twilight Rain feel ridiculous. No, if there is such a result, could it be that the other party also has the ability to interfere with the calculation? Yes. Now the ability to calculate and deduce types is not unique to me in the Divine Tree world. That Tianjiza seems to have a similar ability, and it is an acquired awakening, although it is not as strong as my SSS level talent, but it will not be much worse. The Divine Tree Masters, who also have the ability to measure, can have powerful interference with each other when they encounter each other, and no one can count the other parties. Do you mean? The Divine Tree Master who appeared on the other side and had a one-on-one session with me is Tianjiza. Twilight listened to the wind and thought about this possibility. After all, Tianjizi has recently been in the Grey World, and it can be said that he is relatively famous. It is also one of the few people who can make a little achievement and create a guild in terms of ability. Twilight listened to the wind, but I was a little skeptical that this Tianjiza would be the opponent of the island war she had encountered. It's okay, let this girl take the initiative this time, and see what skills you have, so that I can calculate the winning rate against you, which is so low. Twilight Rain sneered when she heard the wind. This win rate really scared her for a while.